Tonight, favorable trade.
The Prime Minister drove a hard bargain.
On the new NAFTA, Justin Trudeau and Mike Pence help each other out. Plus, it's Thursday, so of course, At Issue is here.
The Philippines sends Canada's garbage packing. We'll look at the international message coming with it.
And Raptors, Warriors, Canada hosts its first NBA Finals. We've got a street-level look at the frenzy. This is The National. A ratified free trade deal by the summer. Pressure on China for the release of 2 Canadian citizens. U.S. Vice President Mike Pence came to Ottawa today with promises and praise for a close ally.
President Trump and I believe that the relationship between the United States and Canada has never been stronger.
That might be a slight overstatement. While the diplomatic dance was certainly on the beat, this is Pence we're talking about, a predictable man from an unpredictable administration. His boss has a habit of straining relations with tweets and tariffs, and Katie Simpson will show us yet again today his smiles were on a collision course with chaos.
There are no hard feelings to be found here. The Vice President and Prime Minister are leaving trade tensions behind, vowing to get the new NAFTA into place as quickly as possible.
We're making energetic efforts to move approval through the Congress of the United States this summer.
Sources say Mike Pence gave Justin Trudeau a heads up the Trump administration would trigger a process to force Congress to vote on NAFTA within 30 days. That encouraged both men to give each other political cover to get the job done.
I want to assure the people of Canada that your Prime Minister drove a hard bargain.
Pence saluted Trudeau's toughness to help the Prime Minister defend against conservative attacks that he was too weak at the negotiating table. In exchange, Trudeau leaned on his credibility as a progressive liberal to make a plea to like-minded Democrats in the U.S.
We look to the U.S. Democrats to understand our significant improvements and our issues that, like Canadian Liberals, they care deeply about.
Both men appeared at ease, and with the unpredictable U.S. president out of the picture, there was no fear of the day's agenda being interrupted, even when uncomfortable issues came up, including abortion.
Friends can have differences of opinion and still be friends.
The collaborative spirit continued, with the U.S. signaling it will help Canada with China.
We're going to continue to urge China to release the Canadian citizens.
Pence suggested Donald Trump may bring up the issue on the sidelines at the G20 next month with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Ending the visit on a high note seemed too good to be true, and of course, it was. Near the end of his day, Pence was forced off message by his boss and reports that Mexico may be hit with new tariffs that could upend NAFTA and all of the work he did today.
Well, I don't want to comment on what may or may not occur.
So meanwhile, as our day is unfolding, as it should, Katie, a new Mexico threat. What can you tell us about it tonight?
The White House confirms that as of June 10th, it will impose 5% tariffs on all Mexican goods until Mexico does more to stop migrants from crossing into the U.S. illegally at its southern border. Mexico is not going to like this. And remember, all 3 NAFTA countries, Canada, the U.S., and Mexico, have to ratify the trade pact before the new deal comes into effect. So this jeopardizes the ratification process and undermines all of the work that Trudeau and Pence did today. Sources tell me that Pence did not give Canada a heads up this was coming, but he did specifically talk about how frustrated the president is about Mexican border security. Rosie.
Okay, another twist in this story, Katie. Thanks for this. Katie Simpson in Ottawa tonight. Thanks. Okay, now an exclusive report from Parliament Hill. A House of Commons committee was examining hate speech when the meeting became hostile. A Conservative MP forcefully challenged testimony from a Muslim community leader. David Cochran tells us how it all unfolded.
There were no cameras at the Justice Committee on Tuesday, but there were microphones that captured a remarkable exchange between a witness and a Conservative MP. Faisal Khan Suri was asked to testify about the dangers of online hate. He summarized the motivations of Alexandre Bissonnette, the killer behind the Quebec City mosque shootings.
The evidence from Bissonnette's computer showed he repeatedly sought content about anti-immigrant, alt-right, and conservative commentators, mass murderers, U.S. President Donald Trump.
Suri also referenced the shooting at a Pittsburgh synagogue and the massacre in Christchurch, New Zealand. It outraged conservative Michael Cooper.
First of all, Mr. Suri, I take great umbrage with your defamatory comments to try to link conservatism with violent and extremist attacks.
It's a sore spot for the Conservatives as the Liberals have tried to paint them as tolerant of extremists and white supremacists, something Andrew Scheer would deal with in a speech hours after this committee.
There is absolutely no room in a peaceful and free country like Canada for intolerance, racism, and extremism of any kind.
But in rebutting Suri, Cooper cited the manifesto of the Christchurch Killer, a document banned in New Zealand for inciting hate.
And let me, Mr. Chair, read into the record the statement of Brenton Tarrant, who is responsible for the Christchurch massacre. He left a 74-page manifesto in which he stated, "Conservatism is corporatism in disguise. I want no part of it. The nation with the closest political and social values to my own is the People's Republic of China," close quote. So you should be ashamed. Now, with respect,
Liberals and New Democrats exploded in protest. The committee went behind closed doors for 16 minutes to discuss Cooper's comments. Cooper emerged partially apologetic.
I will withdraw saying that he should be ashamed. So in the spirit of moving forward, I withdraw those specific comments, but certainly not the rest of what I said.
Suri never responded to Cooper's comments at committee. He's back in Edmonton now and declined our request for an interview. Michael Cooper was in Parliament today, but he told us he wasn't available for comment. David Cochran, CBC News, Ottawa.
So there's this other, tiny little story we're keeping an eye on tonight, Ian, one that's got some people in a bundle of nerves and excitement.
I think you're one of those people. Game 1 for the Toronto Raptors in the NBA Finals, and fans have come out in droves to show their support. And that's a look at Jurassic Park just outside Scotiabank Arena, where it was jammed with fans celebrating after that game. They've been watching on the big screen. It had been tense for a while, but as you can see, once the Raptors had their historic win in the first ever finals game outside the U.S., people just started to cheer.
They're on their feet at Scotiabank Arena. Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Kyle Lowry from Edmonton.
What a sweet way to seal the deal. And here's another shot that just bounced off the rim as the buzzer went. Even the Raptors' biggest fan, Dre, getting pretty close to the action. In this case, wasn't his fault, as you see him collide with one of the Golden State players. The Raptors were in front pretty well for most of the game. Their first NBA final, and of course, their first win. We are live here on the Pacific edition of The National, and throughout the evening we've been checking with Greg Ross. He's been at Jurassic Park. We talked to him about an hour ago from inside the arena, just as the game wrapped.
You know what, I gotta tell you, I've been getting the best of both worlds here because I've been outside in Jurassic Park and watching some of the game with the fans. I've been able to come in and watch some of the game inside and get a feel for the atmosphere inside the building. And I have to tell you, the atmosphere in this building in the final 5 minutes of this game was just outstanding. I mean, the fans were on every shot. The fans were on every basket. And it was loud. There was a lot of excitement, obviously, because the Raptors were not only winning, they were able to hold on and win this game. And I think there was a sense of relief because you talked about all of that nervousness going into this game. Let's face it, there are people that paid exorbitant amounts of money to be in this building tonight, and I think some of them will go away thinking they've got their money's worth. And there were other people who spent hours, in some cases 15 hours, lining up outside just to get into Jurassic Park, and now I think they're going to say, well, that was time well spent because they got to stand out there and watch this victory for the Raptors.
We're going to win it in 4. We're going to sweep. This shows how we can sweep.
I've never been in such an environment where it was so lit. The environment, everybody was just so passionate. Even from the national anthem, this stadium was rocking. I'm so proud to be Canadian.
And Ian, in the end, Raptor fans were celebrating. They were yelling and screaming in the streets of Toronto again. This is something that I could get used to. A lot of these celebrations, but they're out there right now, Ian, enjoying this win. But it's only one win. There's still 3 more to go to win a championship.
Greg, 3 years ago, I envied you when I saw you at Rogers Centre when the Blue Jays were in the playoffs. I envy you again tonight, but you've done a great job for us. Greg Ross at Scotiabank Arena covering the Raptors. This excitement hasn't been building just for days. It has been building for years, and it seems clear these aren't just Toronto's Raptors, it is Canada's team. Ali Chiasson shows us why.
It's game day, baby. This is going to go down in history, so I wanted to be a part of that.
How long have we been waiting for?
4 hours.
4 hours? I've been waiting 23 years, man. It's been a long time.
Jurassic Park was all-star studded this morning. Former Raptors power forward Chris Bosh made an appearance.
24 seasons in the making.
The whole city has been vibrating ever since the Raptors clinched a spot in the finals. Schools are having pep rallies, giving us their honest predictions.
Sweep, Raps in 4.
We have a chance, but not a big chance. I think tonight's game is going to be really good because Kawhi Leonard and Steph Curry are pretty good players. I mean, Kawhi's better in my opinion.
The latest mural depicting Kawhi Leonard popped up this week. That now makes 2.
He's the king of the North. Everybody is trying to see what he's going to do for the finals.
As local rapper Peter Jackson says in his newly dropped Raptors anthem,
Here we go, Jurassic Park. Gotta gear up because I'm going in. So where are you guys in from?
I'm coming from Golden area in British Columbia.
So we're still hours away from tip-off. I'm wondering how Jurassic Park is treating you so far.
It's good. I love the energy. Like, this is Canada's team, and you can tell that from all the people here from different provinces.
the hype has reached all corners of Canada, from coast to coast to coast, including Summerside PEI.
Growing up, the Raptors meant that I got to cheer for Canadian basketball.
This superfan spent $2,000 on a pair of tickets to see Game 2 this Sunday in Toronto. And they're cheering in Canada's actual north, too. Proof that the Raptors don't just belong to Toronto. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, after the Raptors won that last series, fans flooded to the streets to party, and out of that, a remarkable statistic. Toronto police said no one had been arrested, but it seems they should have added the word yet. And here's why. In the celebration, a cruiser became a target, and yesterday, Toronto police announced they were looking for 7 people accused of mischief. They say one threatened to kill the officer in the car. So far, one suspect has turned himself in.
As you heard from Katie earlier, Donald Trump complicated the NAFTA ratification process today, but the U.S. president started his day with another thing on his mind, unleashing a string of attacks questioning Robert Mueller's motives, and to some ears, they smacked of sour grapes. Mueller ended his role as special counsel into the Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election just yesterday, pointedly saying his report did not exonerate Trump. As Ellen Morrow tells us, Trump has taken that as a provocation.
President Trump lashed out today, directing his ire at Robert Mueller.
I think Mueller is a true never-Trumper. He's somebody that dislikes Donald Trump.
Good morning, everyone. And
yesterday, in his first public comments on his investigation, Mueller refused to clear the president.
If we had had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so.
Trump didn't see it that way.
He said, essentially, you're innocent. I'm innocent of all charges.
Along with contradicting Mueller, Trump contradicted himself. In this tweet referencing Russian election meddling, writing, "I had nothing to do with Russia helping me to get elected." Half an hour later, Trump said Russia didn't help at all.
I got me elected. Russia didn't help me at all. Russia, if anything, I think, helped the other side.
Not so, says the Mueller report. It found Russia's meddling was meant to hurt Hillary Clinton, and the Trump campaign expected to benefit. But despite Mueller's stellar reputation, Trump said he can't be trusted.
I think he's totally conflicted. We had a business dispute. Not a nice one.
The president seemingly referring to Mueller requesting a refund of his membership fee at a Trump golf course in 2011. Trump's advisors, according to the Mueller report, told the president it was not a true conflict. Mueller's public statement is fueling calls for impeachment.
If he were anyone other than President of the United States, he would be in handcuffs.
We should at least start to have this debate. We owe that to the American people.
But a day later, still less than a quarter of House Democrats have publicly supported impeachment. Trump says there's no reason for the I word.
It's a dirty word, the word impeach. It's a dirty, filthy, disgusting word.
A word set to linger over the Capitol. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Washington.
Now, President Trump also made another dig at an old nemesis today, Senator John McCain, who died of brain cancer last year.
I wasn't a fan of John McCain, I never will be, but certainly I couldn't care less whether or not there's a boat named after his father.
So the boat he's talking about is actually a destroyer named for McCain, his father and grandfather. Someone in the White House requested the Navy hide the ship from view during Trump's visit to Japan last week. That didn't end up happening. Trump insists he did not know about the request. Trump also mentioned Israel today, saying it's too bad what happened there. He is referring to an unprecedented situation. Israel is headed for its first ever election do-over. As Susan Ormiston explains, a divided country and a divisive leader are right back where they started.
Back to this, more pushy, scrabbling campaigning, with now a second election complicating the timetable for a U.S.-led peace plan. Awkward when your first guest today is Jared Kushner, President Trump's advisor on that plan.
Interesting.
After all Trump did for Bibi, Netanyahu could not close the deal as the Knesset dissolved last night.
Even though we had a little event last night, that's not going to stop us.
But for many Israelis, it is a big, unwanted event.
We've become like a third world country when people are worried about their personalities instead of about the country's politics.
Barely 2 months ago, Netanyahu narrowly captured the most seats.
Benjamin Netanyahu.
But in a 6-week search for coalition partners, he came up one short, ostensibly over military service. Ultra-Orthodox parties who supported him wanted to continue to exempt Orthodox Israelis from conscription, but the former defense minister, Avigdor Lieberman, whose party might have gone with Netanyahu, dug in. We'll do everything, Lieberman said, to form a national government, not an ultra-Orthodox government. It reflects a growing schism.
It's a dynamic between the secular and ultra-Orthodox elements within Israeli society, not just the military service law, but also in issues like businesses being open on the Sabbath or public transportation on the Sabbath and kosher laws and so on.
Already, Bibi's opponents are emboldened with another chance to throw him out or force him to face charges for alleged corruption.
I think it's early days to tell if Netanyahu is weakened or not.
Even in unpredictable Israeli politics, few expected another vote this September. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Toronto.
We're live as we continue the Pacific edition of The National, and some of the other stories we're following include the first round of evacuations as a large wildfire threatens a northern Ontario First Nation. The fire has grown to nearly 3,000 hectares since this morning, burning dangerously close to Pikenjicum First Nation. It has declared a state of emergency. Pikenjicum is a fly-in community about 500 kilometers northwest of Thunder Bay. Most residents are being flown out by military aircraft and say the conditions became frightening overnight.
It was starting to get really smoky.
Yeah.
Starting to cover up the whole community this morning.
7 Ontario communities have agreed to find shelter for the evacuees, including Thunder Bay and Dryden. Smoke from wildfires in northern Alberta lingered over Edmonton today, prompting Environment Canada to issue a special air quality advisory. Children, seniors, and people with health problems are being told to watch out for symptoms and protect themselves. You can see why. NASA released this image of the haze across the province.
Ahead on The National, at issue on Jody Wilson-Raybould and Jane Philpott and what happens when you ditch party politics.
And Canada's trash is on its way back home from the Philippines.
And later in tonight's moment, how to stay cool under pressure, a little unexpected advice for those Raptors.
Hi, Toronto Raptors. Get a good night's sleep.
Dozens of shipping containers brimming with Canadian garbage are now en route back to Canada. They've been festering in the Philippines for nearly 6 years. David Common now on how they got there and what happens next.
Canada's garbage, which traveled halfway around the world for disposal, is now on its way back, stuffed inside dozens of shipping containers filled with plastic, ostensibly for recycling, but contaminated with dirty diapers and electronic waste. For years, the Philippines has demanded Canada take it back, turning it into a bombastic diplomatic issue. The Filipino foreign minister there as the waste was loaded, tweeting, "Going, going," and now it's gone, headed back to Vancouver. Once there, it'll be incinerated right here, a waste-to-power facility.
It's going to be dealt with after hours so that it doesn't interfere with the waste that we normally put through the facility, and also to ensure that it's inspected properly.
All this will cost the Canadian taxpayer more than $1 million. The feds say all possible options to encourage accountability by the exporter are being pursued. But that company appears to be defunct, so getting money from it may be challenging. And so for now, the feds are on the hook.
It's being loaded right now. It had to be fumigated. There's a long process it had to go through so that it'll be out very shortly.
This is, I think, from the Maritime. Earlier this week, we were at a port in Malaysia as the country demanded Canada take back another shipping container. It underscores just what happens to some of the contents of our blue bins, sent far away, exporting a problem. But the global recycling industry is opaque, and many unscrupulous operators simply change the label on shipping containers. As 69 of those containers left the Philippines bound for Canada today, environmental activists were there urging Canada and other developed nations to end the practice of exporting their waste, to work on reducing plastic use instead, rather than recycling or dumping it elsewhere. David Common, CBC News, Toronto.
At Issue is up next. Chantal, Andrew, and Aaron Weary all here tonight. And tonight we're going to tackle this.
I am going to run in the federal election as an independent candidate.
I will be running as an independent candidate.
Singer R. Kelly is facing 11 new counts of sexual assault and sexual abuse. Filed by Chicago prosecutors, they appear to involve a single victim between the age of 13 and 16. If convicted, Kelly could face up to 30 years in prison. It brings the total number of charges against him to 21. Security cameras captured the moment a cruise ship collided with a tour boat during a rainstorm in Budapest. The smaller vessel sinking within seconds. At least 7 people are confirmed dead. 21 are still missing. The cruise ship captain has been arrested.
I am going to run run in the federal election as an independent candidate.
I will be running as an independent candidate.
I have to give a shout out to my amazing colleague, Elizabeth May.
I see my friend and colleague, Elizabeth May, and the Green Party of Canada as natural and necessary allies.
We need independent voices who will work with independent partisans.
What some of us like to call independent partisans.
That independents will work with everyone.
It means you are committed to working with everyone.
Two independent candidates with sort of the same message. Jody Wilson-Raybould and Jane Philpott will be running in the next federal election, but stepping away from party politics. So how effective can anyone really be as independents? And could it somehow spark a larger movement? Time for At Issue. Chantal Hébert is in Montreal, Andrew Coyne in Toronto tonight, and Aaron Weary joins me here in Ottawa. Good to see everybody. Welcome, Aaron. Okay, so when my capable and formidable producer, Ariel, re-listened to those speeches and saw how similar the announcements were, it seemed only fair to sort of pull out those parts to show people that they were messaging largely the same thing when they made that decision earlier this week. I'll start with you, Chantal. How do you think that message from those particular candidates or MPs will resonate with Canadians?
I'm not convinced they're going to resonate with Canadians. They may resonate in their respective ridings because of who they are and not because of the independence. But I don't see a lot of voters saying, gee, I wish my MP left this party and came to me and said, I'm going to be independent. I think most Canadians, and the polls do show that, when they vote, sure are looking at who the candidate is. And in some cases, it matters more than others. But at the end of the day, they are looking at the party policies and the party that they're voting for.
It seemed that one line, Andrew, that they both repeated, independent partisans, that some are calling, it was only those two that are using that language, independent partisans. I had never heard that before this week. And it seems to me in some way contradictory. But tell me how you read it and the decision they made.
Well, I agree with Chantal. Their chances are not great. I also agree that parties serve a useful purpose in Canadian politics and democratic politics of kind of branding. They give you a rough and ready guide as to what does this person tend to believe in. Where I have some sympathy for this is I guess that oxymoron of independent partisan. We've adopted a system in Canada of party politics way past the level of party discipline that is required. Much more uniformity is demanded of MPs than is really legitimate to demand of them. All has been subsumed in the cult of the leader. So there is room, even within a party system, for a little more independent judgment for candidates and MPs to deviate from the party line more than they've been allowed to in Canada. And if this helps to loosen that up, it'll be all to the good. But their chances of getting elected traditionally would be considered not terribly good. There might be a bit more chance for these two because they're so well known, and because of the possibility that we might be into a minority government after this election, in which case every MP has a bit more bargaining room than they might otherwise.
What do you think, Aaron, of what I guess is motivating them and what they had to say?
Well, I think what's motivating them really is the fact that they don't really have a party anymore. I mean, it's pretty easy or pretty tempting, I imagine, to make an argument for independence when you really don't have a political party, or the political party that you previously belonged to has decided to kick you out. There's a bit of irony here insofar as the only reason they have a chance as independents is because they came up through the party system. I would tend to agree, though, with Andrew that there's a chance here for a bit of a loosening up, that they may stand for something. They may not get elected, but the idea of there being a bit more of an independent streak within politics, that they may come to represent that, particularly if they get elected. Though I would also add that if you're really going to have this discussion, rather than focusing on just Jane Philpott and Jody Wilson-Raybould, I think you could look at somebody like Nathaniel Erskine-Smith in the Liberal backbench, who has been speaking his mind and voting independently and has managed to remain in caucus. And seemingly remain a caucus member in good standing with the Liberals. That's, I think, if you're looking into a discussion about independence in Parliament, there's a pretty good example.
But MPs who do, I mean, they're not typically kicked out of caucus the way that Philpott and Wilson-Raybould were, but they're typically punished in other ways. They have committee assignments taken away from them. They don't get to travel, et cetera, et cetera. There are ways in which the discipline is enforced. It's a pity in a way that they didn't do as they were hinting they might, or as it was suggested they might, and that's join the Green Caucus, because the Green Caucus does operate on that basis. They have much more. I mean, the Green Caucus, the Green Party operates much more on that basis.
Two of them now, so there is a caucus.
Right.
Yeah.
But they have much more of an ethos of MPs should be allowed to vote, to deviate from the party line within the Greens.
Yeah. Chantal, you went in there, yeah.
Yes, but well, to the issue that it's too bad they didn't join the Green Party, I would have liked that, because I would have liked that them to explain why on principle and in the name of independence they did not then feel so strongly about buying a pipeline that they felt comfortable staying in cabinet. So at some point, what you can live with when you're a liberal in all of your independence of spirit does come back to haunt you, and that goes to Aaron's point. But I think what you would really want to get away from the punishment issue, and Andrew is quite right on that MPs do get punished, set aside, don't get prize appointments, is for more MPs who are part of parties to be more independent. Because if a critical mass of them exercise their independence, then the punishment system would fall apart. And the fact is that they don't.
Except then, first of all, Nathaniel Erskine-Smith, he's on a committee. I mean, I don't know if he's been punished in other ways for talking, but he does have some positions of credibility there. But if everyone is more independent, and this is where I came under criticism for things this week that I said on podcasts and whatnot, if everyone is more independent, then what is the point of the party? I mean, everyone can't just be out there doing whatever they want, because that's not how the system ultimately functions. And when we listened to both of those MPs this week, I did get the impression myself that because they had never been MPs, they had only ever been in cabinet, that perhaps they were a bit naive about what actually happens for MPs and how much freedom they actually have. I don't know if anyone else felt that way, but that's the thing I thought of. Go ahead, Chantal.
To build on your point, I would argue that because they'd never been MPs and had never sat in opposition, they may also have been a bit naive about what it means to not be in cabinet on your first day in the House of Commons and to be sitting at the back of the House of Commons.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between what is and what should be. So maybe they're naive about what is.
Yes.
But I don't think it's naive to say that MPs within a party system could still have more opportunity to exercise their mental faculties, to represent their constituents, to represent their own consciences, to use their own judgment of things. It's fine to run under our party platform, and you should keep the promises you make. I don't see anything inconsistent with an MP or a candidate, I should say, saying, okay, here's our party platform. You should know, electors of this riding, that I differ with the party on this, this, and this. And I won't necessarily pledge to vote on those things. I don't see anything wrong with saying there's a broad philosophical view that I share with the party, but on certain issues I deviate from the party line. And if you can win the nomination on that basis, fine. Yeah. Chantal's right that MPs have it within their power to rise up and rebel, but if they were of a mind to do so, they probably wouldn't have joined the system to begin with. There's a self-selection of the kind of person who's willing to run for parties as they are currently constituted. And there's also a process of nomination and selection that you have to show yourself to be a quote-unquote team player to have any chance of getting into Parliament.
Aaron, what do you think? How would that work then if we had more of this that everyone seems to think would be of some benefit?
Yeah, I think you're looking for sort of a midway point between an all-powerful party leader who tells their MPs what to do and a parliament of 338 independents. Andrew, this will be catnip for Andrew, but the British Parliament is a bit more further along in this regard. They also have more MPs, so it's a bit easier to rebel and not necessarily be a pivotal vote, not necessarily come under the punishment from the whip. Again, though, I think there have been developments in this Parliament that shouldn't necessarily be just sort of dismissed or quickly overlooked. Both Ms. Philpott and Ms. Wilson-Raybould would be familiar with the vote on the genetic discrimination bill, and that's where the federal cabinet took a position. It's been reported that Jody Wilson-Raybould addressed caucus and said, we don't like this bill, you should vote against it, and more than 100 Liberal backbenchers stood up and voted for it and passed the bill into law. And there's been a few instances of that where Liberal backbenchers have voted in sufficient numbers to overrule a government vote. And so there have been little developments like that I think show you sort of where things could go. I don't think we're nearly at the point where you would say, that there's really an acceptable level of independence or that there's a lot of free-spiritedness in Parliament. But there have been little signs of this that suggest that there is a path there, that you could do things and the sky wouldn't fall.
And we in the media have to bear a share of responsibility for this, that we are all too inclined to treat anybody who deviates from the party line as being a sign of division, disunity, as some sort of crisis. We ought to treat it more as these are MPs doing their job, using their brains, and that's something to be certainly not castigated and maybe celebrated.
But if more MPs were doing it more regularly, it wouldn't be covered in the same way, especially if they could explain why they are deviating from the party line beyond making a name for themselves. That always helps. But I agree with Aaron, even in this Parliament, the current Minister of Justice did not really support the bill that the government put forward on medically assisted death. And he is now the Minister of Justice. So. And at the time, there were a number of thoughtful MPs in every party that disagreed with what was basically the party line, and they were free to vote their conscience, and were told there would be no consequences, and there were not. But to the notion that a minority parliament enables individual MPs, that is true, but only up to a point. Yes. Within government benches, it tends to do the opposite, because the fate of the government is in the balance at every vote. It restricts freedom even more than what you've seen in a majority parliament.
Okay, got to leave it there. Thank you, everybody. Before we go, be sure to subscribe to At Issue, the podcast, for extra content. This week, we're going to talk about the U.S. Vice President's very quick trip to Ottawa. Look for it on iTunes, any major podcast app, our website, cbcnews.ca/The National.
And up next on The National, why the key to a Canadian cold case could lie in one of those popular genealogy tests.
At some point he was murdered in here, and the suspect, the only thing left behind is a bit of DNA.
That's correct. We actually have good DNA. We just don't have a suspect, which is really unusual.
It's a first for police here in Canada, so what does it mean for your privacy? That's next.
We will, God willing, hold this man fully accountable for his crimes.
This was a case that opened everyone's eyes to the possibilities. A former California police officer identified, then arrested, accused of being the notorious Golden State Killer. It happened last year, more than 30 years after the trail went cold. The break came when investigators linked DNA found at one of the crime scenes to DNA submitted to a genealogy website by a relative of the man now charged. That forensic genealogy has now found its way here. Vancouver police are the first in Canada to confirm they're using it to try to catch a killer. But as Greg Rasmussen lays out, these kinds of investigations are raising questions about privacy.
This one here is on Tanya's 18th birthday when posing with my father, and so unfortunately it turned out to be her last birthday.
John Van Kuylenborg still feels the deep pain of his sister's murder 32 years ago. He recalls those dark days of anxiety and fear after she and her boyfriend Jay Cook failed to return from a brief trip to Washington State. Soon, the family's worst fears were realized.
Yeah, it's something you never forget, of course, and yeah, it's just horrific, but don't wish it on anyone.
18-year-old Tanya Van Kuylenborg's body was found along this quiet country road, dumped in this ditch.
Despite thousands of hours of police work, more than 3 decades passed with no arrest. Hope faded.
That always ate away at me because it sure didn't feel right that, somebody wouldn't be held accountable, that, this wasn't going to be solved, that something so horrific could happen and somebody would not be held accountable.
State of Washington versus William Talbot.
Then, finally, last year, Earl Talbot, a 59-year-old truck driver, was tracked down and charged with 2 counts of murder. Police had Talbot's DNA from the crime scene, but had never found a match. But recently, a breakthrough. Millions of people are uploading their genetic profiles to ancestry websites, and some of them are accessible to police.
You upload your DNA looking for long-lost family connections. Then police compare your DNA to the sample from a crime scene. They find a few shared genetic markers, which leads them to their suspect.
In Talbot's case, a distant relative was found with similar genetic markers. Police then grabbed a coffee cup he had used and tested it.
All right, so we've got a swab here. We're going to get it wet.
This lab at the BC Institute of Technology shows how a match was made.
And now we're going to break this swab head into a new tube and just get the DNA from the person of interest.
Forensic scientist Steen Hartson says DNA testing is getting much more precise.
You're able to make much further comparisons and create these family trees where you might be able to associate people who only share a great-great-great-grandparent, whereas the older technology just wasn't able to do that. You weren't looking at enough areas in the DNA for that type of analysis.
Along with ancestry searches, it's helped crack more than 50 serious cold cases south of the border. And there are high hopes for it here.
So what goes through your head as you come back to the scene of the crime?
For me personally, I go back to, how horrible it must have been for his friends and family and everyone that knew Mr. Leonardo to find him in that state.
Vancouver Police Detective Mike Hurd is using it to try to solve a murder that took place 16 years ago in this building.
So this is our victim, Edgar Leonardo.
Hurd's theory is the 36-year-old man met someone in Vancouver's gay village and brought him home late at night.
And at some point he was murdered in here, and the suspect, the only thing left behind is a bit of DNA.
That's correct.
Leonardo's murder remains unsolved even though police have DNA from the suspected killer. But it's never matched any samples in Canadian police files.
We actually have good DNA. We just don't have a suspect, which is really unusual in this line of work. So I'm hoping with these new technologies and phenotyping and locating through the genealogy that we're actually going to come onto a suspect sooner rather than later.
Parabon Nanolabs.
He's now using the same U.S. company that helped solve dozens of cases in the United States.
It's always about trying to narrow your scope down of potential suspects and then working your way through all the suspects until you find the person that actually committed the crime.
This is the first time a Canadian police force has publicly stated it's using the technique.
I'm a firm believer, based on all my experience and looking at the evidence in this investigation, that we will locate, we will find the suspect.
An accused person could possibly have a privacy interest.
Vancouver criminal defense lawyer Tony Paisana says it's only a matter of time until this technique becomes the focus of a trial in a Canadian courtroom. At issue, is it legal to sift through DNA profiles looking for family connections?
And that creates this sort of interesting issue of whether or not the person on trial has a privacy interest in the DNA profile of someone else, be it a brother or sister or whoever it is that ends up having their sample given to the police.
And then this is her and I just relaxing outside on the patio, I think, at a family home.
It's been more than 20 years since the federal government created the laws around the use of DNA testing in Canada. John Van Cuylenborg says the breakthrough that led to an arrest in his sister's murder should be widely used.
If it requires some legislative amendment or revisions, then so be it. But I would be disappointed in Canadian society if we decided not to make use of this investigative tool.
A true breakthrough in policing that's helped answer questions for one Canadian family with the potential to help many more. Greg Rasmussen, CBC News, Vancouver.
That was very interesting. Next up, our moment. Some of their youngest fans have a few tips for the Raptors to keep cool.
To stay calm and drink water and do finger flips. Arkansas, if you're nervous, do train breathing.
Okay, so this video caught our eye this morning. Kindergarten kids giving advice to the Raptors. And we wanted to know why these little fans were offering their tips for the team. So we went to chat with them and hear a little bit more, and that is our moment.
Go, Raptors, go! Go, Raptors, go!
Are you guys excited for the game tonight?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna scream. And so is me.
I thought it would be really fun to kind of have the kids connect our calming strategies with the idea of telling the Raptors, like, you can do it and we believe in you, but here are some tips because they must be really nervous.
Get a good night's sleep. Stay calm and drink water and do finger flips.
They were excited. I said, you know, like, we can send this video and tweet it out to the Raptors and they might be able to see it. So they were on board immediately.
I love you, Toronto Raptors! Go!
Just being excited and cheering our team on, and that's what it's all about.
Let's go Raptors!
So cute. So the teacher, though, was also very concerned, because you heard the little girl say she was going to cheer them on, that the kids would actually stay up, because, of course, there was a 9 o'clock Eastern start time, and that's pretty late for a kindergartner, so I don't know what's going to happen to her tomorrow in class.
You know, Rosie, at our company and at companies all across the country, they try to figure out a way to make social videos that go viral. Here's the equation. Young, social media savvy teacher, plus cute kids, plus breathing techniques, plus the Raptors, and you've got solid gold.
Just that every time.
Yeah. I think we're going to get inundated with videos like that from here on out.
Probably
and
now.
We'll do them every night. That is the
Happily.
Nationals for May 30th. Good night.
Good night.